Welcome to this explainer. Look, today we're taking a radically different approach to your exam prep. We are doing a deep analysis of the UGC NET and KSET English Literature exams. We're not just sitting here memorizing facts today, we're actually going to decode the test makers' minds. By looking at real past questions, we're going to extract those underlying test-taking strategies that literally separate the top percentile from everybody else. Let's get into it.
So our analysis breaks down into 4 key archetypes today. First, etymology and origins. Second, intertextuality and meta-theater. Third, chronology and categorization. And fourth, symbolism and dramatic irony.
All right, let's dive right into archetype 1, etymology and origins. So take a really broad genre like comedy. You know the exam loves to ask for its precise Greek derivation, but if you just break down the root words, it gives you the absolute best memory trick. You've got kamos, which means a revel or a festive party, plus ode, which means song. Put them together and you get komodia, literally a revel song. Remembering this simple little formula guarantees you aren't going to get distracted by those fake, totally made-up options they throw at you on test day. Now, here's another massive trap you'll see on the UGC NET and KSET, early groupings of writers. What you're looking at here is the definitive list of the pre-Shakespearean university wits. The test makers absolutely love to ask you to identify who belongs in this group, and they'll almost always try to slip an imposter in there. You need to lock this specific grouping into your memory. Marlowe, Green, Nash, Lilly, Peel, and Lodge. If you just visualize them all sitting together around a table, it becomes instantly obvious when they try to offer a rogue name, like Michael Drayton, as a trick option.
Moving right along to archetype 2, intertextuality and meta-theater.
Okay, let's test you with an actual exam question archetype. Now, it's pretty well known in literary circles that William Golding wrote Lord of the Flies as a direct, sort of cynical response to R.M. Ballantyne's highly idealized 19th century novel, The Coral Island. But remember, the exams won't just ask you for the title. They want specifics. So do you know which exact character names were borrowed?
It's Ralph and Jack, and this just brilliantly illustrates the whole literary pipeline. The names Ralph and Jack are the actual bridge between these two classic novels. Golding literally plucked these specific, cheerful, perfectly idealized boys from Ballantyne's universe and just dropped them straight into his own dark, psychological thriller to make a massive point about human nature. So from now on, whenever you see Lord of the Flies on the exam, I want you to instantly link it to the names Ralph and Jack from the Coral Island. Another absolute favorite for this specific archetype is Tom Stoppard. The guy is a master of postmodern, self-reflexive drama. So when they ask you about his play, The Real Inspector Hound, you've got to immediately recognize its meta-theatrical structure. And the memory trick is literally baked into the plot itself. The inspector investigates a play that is happening inside a play. It is a flawless example of theater pointing the camera back at itself. And trust me, it is highly testable.
Okay, let's hit archetype 3, chronology and categorization.
For this one, visualizing a timeline is totally critical, especially for someone like T.S. Eliot. Test makers notoriously love to scramble his plays and ask you for the exact publication order. Don't even try to memorize the years in a vacuum. It's a nightmare. Instead, use this acronym, MFCC, Murder, Family, Cocktail, Confidential. Say it out loud with me, MFCC. If you burn that sequence into your brain, you will effortlessly bypass the confusion of whatever multiple choice trap they set for you.
Similarly, you are absolutely going to be asked to categorize ancient works. Take the so-called father of tragedy, Aeschylus, and his masterwork, the Oresteia Trilogy, which, by the way, is the only complete surviving Greek tragic trilogy we even have. To nail this, just remember the acronym ACE. A for Agamemnon, C for Choephore, which is also known as the libation bearers, and E for Eumenides. Visualizing ACE instantly files this trilogy away in your brain, so you won't accidentally click on a rogue option like the Persians.
And finally, we arrive at archetype 4, symbolism and dramatic irony.
Let's kick this off with symbolic atmospheres. Consider the comedy of menace. Defining this kind of intangible concept shows exactly why you absolutely must associate the playwright Harold Pinter directly with the phrase unexplained threat. The exams are going to try to distract you. They'll give you options about bloody violence or gore, but the true defining hallmark of Pinter's menace is that the source of the fear is never actually explained. It just hangs there in the air.
Now let's look at how test makers frame dramatic irony. Think about the super famous prophecies in Shakespeare's Macbeth, right? Macbeth is utterly, completely convinced he's invincible because the witches told him that no man born of woman could ever harm him. But who is the one character that ultimately defies this belief?
Yep, it's Macduff. This highlights such a brilliant loophole based on a cesarean birth, and it turns the entire prophecy completely on its head. Macduff wasn't technically born of woman in the traditional sense. He was, as the quote goes, untimely ripped. It is just a perfect piece of dramatic irony, and recognizing this specific context is an absolute must-have for the NET and KSET.
And this brings us to a sort of master's study guide that perfectly synthesizes our symbolism section. You match the Renaissance tragedy of Dr. Faustus to the Greek myth of Icarus, which symbolizes tragic overambition. You match Ariel from the Tempest to the elemental spirit of air and freedom. And like we literally just saw, Macduff maps to the cesarean birth. Building mental tables just like this one, so you can rapidly digest these recurring motifs, is exactly how you outsmart the test makers.
Look, the ultimate takeaway from this explainer today is that you need a total shift in perspective. Success on these exams isn't just about how many pages you can blindly read through. It's about strategically recognizing exactly how the test makers structure their questions. Once you can actually see the archetypes, the origins, the intertextuality, the chronological tricks, the symbolic mappings we just covered, the exam completely stops being this terrifying mystery. It just becomes a puzzle that you already hold the key to.
So, as we wrap up, I want to leave you with this provocative thought. Armed with these new memory tricks and these precise archetype frameworks, how are you going to transform your own study habits starting today? Don't just work harder, you have to work smarter by studying the anatomy of the test itself. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and best of luck applying these strategies to your prep. You've got this.
Welcome to the world of professional video mixing.